Hi guys, in today's video I want to run you through whether or not $2,500 is realistic for Solana. But before we jump into that, I have to just quickly go through a disclaimer. Please read this with care. This video is not financial advice. Crypto is volatile and highly risky. No results are guaranteed. This content is for experienced users only, and there's a full legal disclaimer in the description below. Right, 2,500. Let's see if that's possible. But before that, I need to just tell you about my story. So, I got into Solana originally in 2021, around the $40 mark. I was out, my friend sent me a text. He said, "Yo, Tookie, you should buy some Solana." And I was like, "Mate, you just told me to buy ADA. I don't have enough money to put into Solana." And unfortunately, I missed out on a 6x here. It went from $40 to $236. And I was a bit upset with that. That was a little bit annoying. But again, what I have done is I've taken some learnings from this, the pain of missing out, and applied that going forward. And again, I've DCA'd in from around the $20 mark, so I've really got that low. But what I did learn was this: diversify. Don't go all in on one investment. Remember to set cash aside for other investments. And cryptos work in cycles. Every 4 years, it has always worked in this way. So again, these things are really, really key, and I've used them over the last couple of years now to set myself up for the next one. So looking at this, Solana, what's it sitting at? Around $188, 100 billion market cap, which is quite large at this point, but that's just where it is currently. So what is it about Sol that has kind of seen all this growth? So essentially it's just fast and cheap transactions. I don't know if you guys have ever used Sol before, but I've used Sol, I've used Bitcoin, I've used ADA, I've used Ethereum, I've used lots of different coins, and by far, Sol was the fastest. And it is incredibly cheap. It's able to process these transactions in seconds, and it's so cheap. It's really, really useful for adoption and just for general usage, right? Strong ecosystem growth. DeFi, NFTs, games, memes, all of these things are being built, and being built pretty quickly on Solana. And this is helping to attract the new users and investors, which we have been seeing over the last year or so in particular. And again, there's pretty big investor confidence. Currently, 8 issuers are filed for an S1 spot listing, which is crazy to think about compared to where it was back when FTX collapsed and it was just down in the dumps. And now Vanek, 21 shares, Canary Capital, Bitwise, etc. are all starting to get involved in Solana, which for me is actually quite funny to see. But again, they're recognizing the value here that lies in Sol. You might be thinking, alright, that's all cool. Where can it hit? Well, in order to do this, I'm going to need to benchmark against Ethereum, because Ethereum is the number one altcoin. It's been around for longest. It's one cycle ahead of Ethereum, so you can use Ethereum as a framework of kind of the potential that it might be able to hit, or at least some kind of benchmark. So Ethereum here is at 450 billion. The top for ETH last bull run in 2021 was 552 billion, and that was before any institutional investment. In theory, if Sol wanted to reach that, with Sol at a market cap of 100 billion, $187, this would mean in order for it to hit $2,500, it would need a market cap of 1.3 trillion. And this would mean that it would need 2.3x more than what ETH did last run at its peak. So I would say that's not going to happen. In my opinion, I think it's too high, too far-fetched. But despite that, doesn't mean that it can't do really well. So looking at Sol at the moment, like I said, it's not possible, but I do think $500 to $750 is more reasonable, and it can push beyond that if we have the right conditions in place. Like I said, a blow off top with perfect market conditions, including heavy rate cuts, quantitative easing, aka money printing. I think the $1,000 mark is definitely on the cards. Again, I wouldn't wait for that. If this was you, in theory, and the run starts, what you would do is you'd cash out on 20% marks. So you'd cash out here, you cash out here, maybe then you would cash out here again, take some more profits. So you have 4 are out at this point, 80% of your bag's out. You've already made all your money back on the first one and this one, so you're already in profit in 1 and 2. And then you can leave the last one to Moonbag, so say you sold there. That is how you win, based on my personal experience of taking profits on coins. We're here to win, guys. We're not here to lose. So again, $1,000 is on the cards. And again, it does have this benefit of being a newer coin. It's one cycle behind ETH. So it can be more explosive, especially if it's going to have this institutional backing that's coming in. It's really, really, really positive. And again, for me personally, since I've been buying around this mark, around here, bought a little bit down here, but for the most part, within this range here, I'm going to be scaling at around 300 to 500. Again, 20% strategy. We're here to win, guys. And yeah, hopefully this provided some value to you. I don't want anyone to lose money here. I want you guys, as it goes up, to take profits. Understand a realistic price range. 2,500 is way too much for this run. Next run, potentially. But now, no. Let's get some money, guys. Good luck, and thank you.